another chance to win £85,000 cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
It's 9 p.m. I'm Stephen Allen. Tonight,
the Prime Minister might call this an island of strangers. When Farage says jump, Labour might say how high.
the calm in the Channel is shattered as hundreds of asylum seekers set sail for Britain after a 28-day lull. Has Labour championed their efforts too early? And are they bowing to reform's policies? Plus, increased presence across the capital today as thousands march in protest to digital IDs, Tommy Robinson versus Stand Up to Racism, and the decision to ban trans girls from joining the Girl Guides.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way.
The Secretary-General of NATO putting out a stark warning on Russia. But are we actually heading to war with Russia? And will Britain be prepared? That's my head-to-head. The Met will not investigate claims Andrew asked bodyguards to investigate Virginia Giuffre. Was that the right choice? Plus,
free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever.
Labour warned not to copy France's Orwellian crackdown on their national media. Will free speech remain protected in the UK? And my panel tonight, Russell Quirk, Reform UK councillor, Paul Richards, former Labour advisor, and Dr. Lisa Mackenzie, senior lecturer in inequality and anarchist. A huge 2 hours coming up, but first, let's get your news.
Good evening. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Sophia Wensler with your headlines. 700 Channel migrants have arrived in the UK so far today, taking the total number to over 40,000 for this year. Throughout the day, France and the UK have responded to around a dozen migrant boats as they took advantage of a break in weather conditions to make the illegal crossing. The 28-day pause in crossings is the longest spell without any migrant activity in the Channel since 2018. In other news, Buckingham Palace has said the King will be deeply touched by the positive reaction to his message about his cancer recovery journey. King Charles has been praised for highlighting the importance of early cancer screening after he shared the good news his cancer treatment can be scaled back in the new year. Meanwhile, Cancer Research UK said tens of thousands of people have visited the website to seek information about available screenings since the King's message. His personal message, which comes almost 2 years since his diagnosis, was broadcast in support of Stand Up to Cancer, a joint campaign by Cancer Research UK and Channel 4. Now, Donald Trump has said the US will retaliate against ISIS if US troops are attacked again. It comes after 2 US soldiers and a US civilian interpreter have been killed in Syria in an ambush by a lone Islamic State gunman. That's according to the Pentagon. It's understood 3 other service members were injured in the attack, during which the gunman was, quote, engaged and killed. Back in the UK now, the Conservatives will ditch the 2030 ban on petrol cars if the party wins the next election, according to reports in The Telegraph. Kemi Badenoch said she would scrap Downing Street's electric vehicle quotas, describing them as an economic act of self-harm. The Conservative leader warned that Labour risked leaving Britain isolated and uncompetitive, and it plays into China's hands. Elsewhere, Virginia Giuffre's family have said they are deeply disappointed by the Met's decision not to investigate claims Andrew asked his taxpayer-funded bodyguard to dig up dirt on her. In October, it was reported that former Duke of York passed Virginia Giuffre's date of birth and social security number to a taxpayer-funded bodyguard back in 2011 to try to smear her. But after assessing the claims, the Met Police says they will not launch an investigation, but they remain committed to thoroughly evaluating any new information. Now, while Andrew has not commented on the reports, he has consistently denied all allegations against him. And 2 men have been arrested after a beloved Christmas tree, which stood in a village for more than a decade, was cut down. The tree was felled in Shotton Colliery in County Durham just hours after the Christmas lights were switched on. Durham police say it's caused huge upset. The police said they were in the process of charging and remanding a 26-year-old male with criminal damage to the tree, while a 23-year-old has since been released under investigation. Those are the latest GB News headlines. I'll have more for you in an hour.
Sir Keir Starmer's smashed the gangs policy has suffered a major setback as the number of small boat migrants passed 40,000 this year. The milestone figure was reached today as another 700 Channel migrants made the illegal journey from France, following almost a month of no crossings. And GB News can exclusively reveal that across Saturday, people smugglers launched a dozen migrant boats from French beaches and river tributaries. The news of fresh surge in the Channel migrants comes as some Labour politicians and supporters have hailed the lack of any arrivals for the weeks coming up as an indication that the government's smashing the gangs policy was actually beginning to work. But Nigel Farage posted this evening on X, Labour MPs have boasted about their success. It's called the weather. Now, over 700 have arrived today. So, can Labour lay any claim to the lull? Let's go to the panel. I guess we need to start with a case for the prosecution. So, Russell Quirk, we've got Reform UK counsel. Paul Richards is former Labour advisor, and Dr Lisa McKenzie, senior lecturer in inequality here. But yeah, case for the prosecution. Which data would you like to cherry pick? The 28 days of nothing or all the other days?
I'm just an old-fashioned person, so I just like to look at facts.
Oh, and that'll never
and the facts are that over the last 28 days, in fact, let me just start with the amusing piece this morning, which was lots and lots of people on the left stating how wonderful it was that Labour policy is working. Labour have clearly smashed the gangs because there have been no migrants on small boats in the last 28 days. And I actually tweeted this morning, this is not going to age well as a social media post. I think it was Sky News, actually, it was the post I was referring to. And lo and behold, 2 hours later, we hear that 700 have set off. And of course, it's because of the weather. Of course, we know, as a matter of fact, that the weather has been very, very choppy and not particularly conducive with those crossings over the last 28 days. Today was mild and calm, and therefore we have seen a huge influx, with no doubt thousands more ready to make that trip over the coming days.
Lisa, is this a problem that's spiralling out of control?
I don't think it's the weather at all. I think,
really?
I think there is a fact. Who has been in Calais for the last 3 days? And who would you want to escape from?
Oh, Zach Polanski.
Zach Polanski.
That is a good point.
Zach Polanski has been in Calais for 3 days.
Yeah.
No channel crossings. And today, 700 people.
Lisa, do you think he's like a reverse Pied Piper?
I think what's happened is they've gone, oh, we need to get away from him. You know, if he's
a lot of them are looking more buxom in the boat as well. I think he's had a go at the old hypnosis.
Yeah, well, I think he pumped the dinghies up.
Oh, is that what? Yes,
I think that was.
Yeah. Do you think he could do it in reverse?
Yeah, I think it was the mind control of the dinghies. Yeah. He's obviously done that, and then obviously they've been trying to escape him. So I don't think it was the weather. I think.
But wouldn't it be better if he could hypnotise those dinghies to deflate, obviously, before they?
Well, he's not going to do that because Zach Polanski's whole idea is that people are having a terrible time in Calais, and so they need to be here.
He said that we should facilitate all of them to come over and give them food, water. Yeah. In fact, he's there filling up water bottles for those migrants to make the safe journey across the channel.
I wonder where Zach Polanski stayed.
But he makes the interesting point that he's in favour of actually getting people to work, these migrants when they arrive here to work.
Immediately as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask him where he thinks they're going to work. I come from, as you do, we come from the East Midlands. There is no jobs. There is no jobs.
Yeah.
You know, where they'll work is obviously the black economy.
Well, that's the thing. You've got your grey and black economy anyway, so maybe actually allowing migrants to work might make those slightly more documented industries.
What?
Well, instead of having everyone delivering your food on the same one passport, you know, they could actually...
No, but hang on, it would also provide a massive incentive for more migrants to come.
There is that. Well, let's see if there's any way to push back on any of that. Sorry to pile it up on you first. What would you reckon?
No, that's fine. I mean, I think I disagree with Polanski on absolutely everything. I mean, everything to do with his economic policy, his social policy, his cultural outlook, everything about him, except for this idea of work. And I think there's something to be had around this, which is that I would put them in... When they're here, they shouldn't be, but once they've arrived, high-vis, work groups, going out, picking up litter, cleaning up graffiti, you know, clearing up canals, whatever it might be, but actually earning the money that they get for their daily rate, which is nothing, but actually earning that in the community so people can see that they are doing something and not just corralling them into either hotels or camps where they create a lot of trouble. And I think that's the way into the world of work. And if they're not supposed to be here, then boot them out. But in the meantime, put them to work.
2 points to that. Russell said earlier on this is another incentive for people to make the dangerous crossing. But also a second point that would be you've also then opened the door to the right to family life. Settle down, get a job, and then...
Well, I'm not saying get a job. What I'm saying is put them into work groups and, like I say, you know, carefully monitored and controlled, but doing something useful.
Paul, are you in favour of chain gangs?
I was just about to say the same thing.
They wouldn't be chained, no, but they would be in high-vis. They would be in high-vis, and you could see them doing it. So they're not just sitting around month after month after month, you know, and for the same money, so it wouldn't cost any more.
So they'd be in kind of orange prison suits and maybe tagged. Yeah, I think we might be agreeing with each other.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, it could also bring the financial cost of this down. I mean, at the moment, They're not paying.
See,
for
Lisa says there's no jobs. I mean, you're right. There aren't, but there are things that need doing in our communities. People's lawns need cutting. You know, litter needs getting picked up. There's chewing gum all over the pavement. There's jobs that they could be doing.
If
just
people are
showing
doing jobs, they need to be paid properly, because what you end up doing is if you have people on welfare, or whether it's migrants or wherever it is, and you're getting them to do work that needs doing but for free, that's a really bad path for us to be going down. I don't know.
But hang on, can I just suggest we shouldn't get distracted by the encouragement of saying, indirectly or directly, to migrants, come over here and be given not just accommodation and NHS, free dentistry, and so on, but also, or it could be a disincentive, but the answer is, and where we should start from, is a position where they should not be coming here in the first place. So there should be no incentive, including NHS accommodation, 46 quid a week, and so on.
You just have if that was pursued as a policy, all you'd end up with is every public park in the land just filled
No,
with
they wouldn't
tents
come. No, they wouldn't come. They would not be here. They'd stay in France, Italy, Greece. They'd go elsewhere. They wouldn't come
here. And Steve's point about the black economy is, of course, because they do want to work, but the only route in is through the illegal routes of delivering food.
Yeah, but a lot of them want to get involved in criminal activity. I mean, that's why, up until 2 years ago, the predominance of people coming across on boats were from Vietnam, because they were working marijuana factories, and from Albania, because they were, not all, but many of them involved in criminal activity.
Honest toil under certain circumstances.
But then they can apply for citizenship and residency like normal people.
But the ones who are supposed to be here, that's fine. But the ones who aren't are the ones who then should be removed as fast as possible. You need fast processing, and that's the real issue.
We need tight processing as well. We need to, when people come over, the amount of times, we're now reading articles and it says, oh, he's been done in Sweden, he's been done in Belgium, he's got, that shouldn't be happening.
That's why we need ID cards, Lisa.
No, we don't. No, we don't need.
That's why we need ID cards.
Would make absolutely no difference whatsoever, particularly in the black economy.
That wouldn't mean we've got ID cards, but it wouldn't mean they've got ID cards, wouldn't it?
Well, it would stop. I mean, I'm being facetious, of course, but it would stop some people.
Before we move away too far as well, we didn't get you to answer the question of looking at the 28 days. Did you post on social media?
Every time a Labour MP puts that up, so many weeks, it's like the sort of how many days without an accident in the factory. For a fact it's just going to the next.
Well, it's almost like, Paul, the commentator's curse.
Exactly.
At the end of the Formula One race, where they say, "Oh, look, he's definitely going to win it," and then, of course, because the commentator says he doesn't. That's exactly what happened today.
When that meme goes up, my heart sinks because, of course, it's linked not only to the weather but mostly to the weather. And so the minute you put that up, of course, then the weather's going to change. And the smuggling gangs that you talked about, of course, they have phones with apps on that tell them what the weather's going to be doing. Quelle surprise. So they know that in 2 days' time there's a calm sea, and they're going to have people in the boats on.
Over 40,000 in
a year.
Is this a problem that you would admit?
It's not 40,000 yesterday. It was over the course
I would have
of
made
the
bigger
year.
headlines. But is this a problem year on year getting worse?
Well, I think as some of the measures that Labour, to be serious, is taking start to bite, we would hope to see the numbers go down. I think, removing the incentives because people are getting kicked out quicker, smashing the gangs' business model so that they, are disrupted through whatever it means. I would like to see more of our money that's being spent in France being used on people actually being on the beach doing something. I mean, there is an argument around that, I think.
But we are 18 months in and not a single gang has been smashed. I mean, despite the hyperbole. Well, because, of course, there would be press releases coming out of Downing Street press office, left, right and centre. And there's been precisely... And let me ask you this. Do we think if 40,000 people with no ID from countries where they could be coming from anywhere arrived in one day, we would call it a certain thing? We'd call it an invasion, wouldn't we? But because it's 40,000 over 365 days, we seem to think it's OK.
Do you know the BBC actually smashed a gang? The head of the gang was called the Scorpion, and he was running a garage in Hucknall. In Ashfield.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah,
neck of the woods.
Cheap car service.
Well, listen, it's not just us having a say on this. Just a reminder that friends of GB News can vote in today's You Decide poll for free by scanning the QR code that's on the screen now. Should small boat migrants be allowed to work? So far, 2% of you say yes and 98% say no. Interesting. Get voting now. Time for the Great British Giveaway as well, and it's our festive treat to you. Your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date with an incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. That's extra cash to spend on anything you like. Here's all the details you need for a chance to make it yours.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. What would you say yes to? For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Indeed, good luck. Right, coming up, increased police presence as protests rippled across the capital today. Is Britain becoming more discontented than ever? But next.
We are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way.
Are we actually heading to war with Russia? This is Alex Armstrong Tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Alex Armstrong Tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News. And are we Russia's next target?
We are Russia's next target. and we are already in harm's way. I fear that too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency, and too many believe that time is on our side. It is not.
That's the stark warning from NATO chief Mark Rutte, coming after a frantic week of diplomacy with Ukraine and its European allies rushing a new peace deal proposal to the Trump administration. The US president has branded European leaders weak and signalled the US could step back from defending the continent, raising serious questions about whether America can still be relied upon. And in Moscow, the Kremlin has gone further, warning that British troops operating in Ukraine would be considered legitimate targets. So tonight, we're asking, are we actually heading to war with Russia? Going head-to-head on this now, we have former British Army spokesperson Major Mike Shearer and former Conservative MP, British Army officer and author Bob Seeley joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. So let's start with Bob. How are things looking for the safety of this nation?
Sorry, Alex, in what sense are you saying? Are you saying that do we consider ourselves at war with Russia? If that's the question, the answer is no. Since 2007, the Russians and President Putin specifically has considered himself in conflict with the West in terms of values, in terms of information, etc. And that conflict and that idea of conflict has steadily got worse.
OK. And Mike, does that make you feel any better about the situation?
No. Look, the Secretary General of NATO is spot on. Now, it hurts me to say this, the only honest broker in this is Putin. Putin has been clear all the while about what his intentions are. And Bob, I remember having a sensible argument with you on the Isle of Wight about 5 years ago, there or thereabout, maybe a bit longer, with Kim Sengupta, poor Kim of The Independent, who has passed away. And Kim and I were arguing the point that that Putin was sharpening his weaponry, and you weren't having it at all. But here we are today, and he's producing something like 100 tanks a month. 100 tanks a month. The United Kingdom of 147. Europe is in disarray. I think we have to accept the Pax Americana, the notion that we could rely on our American cousins. We have to assume, not necessarily presume, but assume that that's no longer there. Europe really needs to start spending money now. We heard this, the Defense Secretary just a day or so ago saying that we were delivering on the SDR. Look, I've spoken with Lord Robertson, the co-author of the SDR, and I challenged him in June or July. And I said, look, this isn't going to be fully operationalized until 9 years' time. What do we do about this? And in fairness to Lord Robertson, he recognized this and said, we can push and compress the whole SDR forward if we need to. He has been on his feet in the House of Lords, and he has said quite clearly that the United Kingdom is uninsured. We do not have the wherewithal to defend our islands.
Bob, is that a position you want to be in? Is there not a wager issue?
I'm not sure I disagree with anything that's just been said, so I'm not quite sure why the argument's being created. I mean, yeah, are we at war with Russia? No. Are we going to be at war with Russia? We don't know. But what we do know is that if you don't, let me finish, please. If you don't deter, you make war more likely. Putin considers himself in conflict with Britain and the Western world. There is a difference between being in conflict, that's economic and values and information and political warfare, in his new hybrid ideas of total war, integrated war, that I talk about in my book called The New Total War. That is different from a traditional idea of warfare. So we have to actually divide up these things, and we actually have to give some clear definitions to them. We are not at war with Russia. Russia considers itself to be in conflict with the West, and we reduce the likelihood of actual war breaking out if we deter, and we are not deterring enough. So I don't disagree particularly with what you're saying, but I think we need a little bit more clarity in what we're talking about.
OK, maybe I'm framing the question wrong, and it's not to ask, Do we think we're going to be in war with Russia? Maybe the question should be more about, do they predict they'll be at war with us? They have an economy that's been tweaked to become a war economy. Is that not time to panic more?
Yeah, for sure.
If I may on this, Putin has been quite responsible here. Putin is sending us all the signals. He is building an armory. And what Putin is trying to do is put a conventional military wedge between the West and nuclear war. We need to recognize this. We need to put an equal conventional military wedge between us and Putin. Then there will be a standoff. The best we can hope for there is a Cold War. And we sit it out until there are new leadership at the strategic level, at the very top of Russia and likely the West, and it will dissipate. But we need to give Putin that conventional warfare option. Otherwise, all we have are buttons, and that's not a good place to be in.
Are we all in agreement that it's time now to change our opinion on whether we should basically hide behind America? Bob, I should go to you on this.
Look, we shouldn't have been hiding behind America, full stop. Europe is a rich continent. We should have been paying our own way. And ever since Putin decided in this new Cold War and this path of conflict, which he decided back in a speech he made in 2007, we should have carefully rebuilt. Not only in our conventional capacity, but how we deal with more hybrid threats, be it espionage, political warfare, information warfare, the espionage work around all the pipelines and the internet cables that connect us to the rest of the world. So the fact that we're coming this late in a bit of a panic is entirely due to our lack of intelligent preparation, because our political classes and indeed our leadership in this country and indeed Europe did not want to accept what was happening when Putin attacked Georgia, when he attacked Ukraine in 2014. So this is in part because of our inability to plan and see the world for what it was and for actually making sensible decisions. So we're now catching up in a bit of a panic. When it comes to rebuilding Putin's armory, he's partly doing that to fight his war in Ukraine, but he's also partly modernizing, using warfare to modernize his armed forces, and very specifically to become one of the world leaders in drone warfare, which is, in both in theory and practice, changing ground warfare. And NATO countries, absolutely true to say, are years behind on this, and we have to catch up, because we're not going to deter any political or military adventurism from Putin if we are seen to be weak, if we are seen to be militarily behind in our development. And we need to play catch up, and we need to do it fast, because we are more likely to prevent the possibility of war if we deter properly.
Bob, can I ask you, as a former Conservative MP, would you have faith in a Labour government or this Labour government's ability to take this fight to Putin?
I mean, the simple answer is no. The slightly more complex answer is I think the defence team in Labour is either the best or the least bad team out of all the ministerial departments. I think John Healey is a competent Minister of Defence, and I think Al Cairns is a very, very good quality minister who's had a superb military record. But the problem is that they have announced the largest increase of defence funding, and they simply haven't delivered on that. And in order to save Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' jobs, they are funneling any money that could have gone into defence into welfare expenditure as well. So the problem is that the government is talking about the likelihood of war, but is not actually taking even its own fears seriously, because they're not actually investing in the armed forces in the years and months before potential crises may occur.
And Mike, what do you think we should be doing?
Well, I think Bob is spot on there. And I think that we have to take the money from wherever it needs to come from. I mean, every government department, if need be. None of these departments will matter if in the fullness of time we're all speaking Russian. This is not alarmist. I said 2 years ago on GBNews that I encouraged NATO to up its spending. For example, in 1960, so what's that, 15 years or so after the Second World War, this country was still spending 7% of GDP on defence. That's because those that were living at that time, through all the hardship of going through rationing, etc., they all knew the cost of freedom. The trouble is that consecutive governments since 1991 has seen the spend on the military as a liability. The spend on the military is not, and defence in general, is not a liability. It's an investment. And we find ourselves in the position today because we haven't kept up. We need to reconstitute many of our old armoured infantry regiments. We need to throw a lot of money at defence and buy tanks, buy guns. We've got a fleet that isn't worth that much. Our RAF, or forgive the pun, living on a wing and a prayer. And Putin has seen this. Putin can see the dire strait, the woeful state of the lack of preparedness that NATO in Europe is at. We need to spend money now.
OK, thank you to both. Former British Army spokesperson Major Mike Shearer and former Conservative MP and British Army officer and author Bob Seeley. Interesting when a head-to-head you get some common ground. Maybe there's a lesson in there for us. So, coming up, should the UK avoid an Orwellian crackdown on free speech like France? But next... Protests rippling across the capital this weekend. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're after some holiday sun, you'll find it in Italy, where it's going to be mostly fine this weekend. Showers continuing in Cyprus, and also across the Canaries, plenty of showers and a strong wind here. Unsettled weather also into the south and east of Spain, with some heavy thundery outbreaks of rain moving into Ibiza later into Monday. And we're going to see an increase in showers across Cyprus early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, welcome to your latest GB News weather. There is a northwest-southeast split with the weather at the moment. Heavy rain, strong winds affecting northern and western areas, quite dry across the southeast. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. A squeeze in isobars indicating strong winds, particularly across the north and the west of the country over the next 24 hours. And rain just continuing to drive in this evening. Northern Ireland, Scotland, northern England seeing heavy rain through into the early hours. And Sunday and into Monday as well. Yellow and amber warnings for rain in force here. Further southeast towards southeast England, clear here overnight, some fog patches, temperatures falling into single figures. So a chilly start here, but generally wet across the north and the west to start Sunday morning. Some dry weather though across northern Scotland first thing. Some glimmers of sunshine once the sun rises here, but wet for central southern parts of Scotland. An amber warning in force across southwest Scotland. Heavy rain building here. Heavy rain for Northern Ireland, northern England. Across Cumbria and Met Office, amber warning in force here too, and rain starting to move into Wales through Sunday morning. But a dry start across the southeast with some sunshine, and through the day very little changes. It remains windy and wet across the northwest. Rainfall totals continue to build. Over several days we could see 250 millimetres of rain over the high ground of northwest England, southwest Scotland, leading to flooding here, but a wet day for much of Northern Ireland, the rest of Scotland, North Wales as well. Central southern parts of England, a dry day with some sunny spells, generally cloudier on Sunday compared to Saturday. Quick look at Monday. Further rain for Wales, southwest England, stretching into northern England. Drier for Northern Ireland and Scotland. And again, southeast England holding on to the dry weather. Some hazy spells of sunshine. It remains unsettled through much of next week as well. Temperatures generally near average for the time of year. See you soon.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back. This is Alex Armstrong tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News. So police presence has been increased in Whitehall today with 3 separate protests taking place. One protest was against digital IDs. An additional Unite the Kingdom protest, labelled as a carol service, took place today in the north end of Whitehall, and a counter-protest was also organised by Stand Up to Racism, only 130 yards south. Little pitchy. Demonstrators even took to the streets of London in protest over the decision to ban trans girls from joining the Girl Guides. Lisa Mackenzie, Senior Lecturer in Inequality and Anarchist. So let's go. If we're talking protests, I imagine you might have been on a fair few, Lisa.
Oh, I've been on loads of them. I started going on protests in the very early 1980s, sort of anti-fascism, anti-Thatcher.
Right. How did that pan out for you?
Well, we enjoyed it. We did some good songs.
Yeah.
Some good songs came out of that.
Did you go on the Stop the War one?
No, I didn't go on the Stop the War one. I'm not that bothered about that, actually. I was more interested...
Wow, all in favour of war, then? Great.
No, by that time I was an anarchist and I was interested in other things. I've been on lots and lots of protests.
But out of all the protests you've been on, how many have actually had any tangible results?
Is it none, Lisa?
No.
I'll tell you what, there is one. There's one in history, and that's the poll tax riots.
Yes, the poll tax. No, because I was in London then.
Missed it by not much.
No, but I did do some protests against something that they called the poor doors. So in London at that time, in 2015, there was housing that private tenants could go in the front door, and if you were council, you had to go in the back door. So we did lots of protests around that. We got lots of... It got a lot of attention, and I think that's one of the things that protests do. It's not always about changing the thing, it's about changing people's minds. And I think when you go to Whitehall and there's all different people protesting, now I'm not sure they're interested in changing other people's minds. That's what I used to protest for.
OK, Russell, what do you think the goal of any of these protests is?
Well, for some it might just be a day out. For some it might just be a bit of trouble, seriously, you know, and that applies, I think, both to the left and the right of the political spectrum. Look, as we've just rehearsed, really, I mean, can we think of more than 2 or 3 positive effects that protests have had? I mean, you have to go back to the suffragettes, I suppose, you know, before the poll tax riots of 1991. So, no, they don't seem to have much effect, but we are seeing more and more of them. The issue I have, though, Steve, is what seems to be happening now is that the authorities, the police, who are now highly politicised, in my opinion, are cracking down on protests and protesters to such a degree now that I think we are, as a nation, we are losing our right to protest. You know, freedom to congregate should be as enshrined, used to be, should be as enshrined as freedom of speech. Yet, in all of these protests today in London, the 3 protests, and also one in Wethersfield today, which is obviously the home of a huge migrant camp, which is about to expand, all of those protests have had public order diktats attached to them in terms of where you can walk, where you can stand, and whether the police decide that you should stay at that protest or not, very arbitrarily. I think that is a very, very dangerous, slippery slope, which unfortunately I think we're already probably halfway down.
Interesting. So, look, if we're talking about the right to protest, and I mentioned of free speech, there's kind of a bad rep that this Labour government's already got for not liking either of those two.
Well, we obviously defend the right to protest and to free speech up to within the limits of the law. But I mean, there are a lot of the protests at the moment, the big Palestinian ones, for example, some of these ones today, they're very performative, they're very narcissistic, they're not actually about changing the political landscape or culture, and in some ways very selfish, because the policing of them means that they've had to put police in to police the demos, have been taken off other police forces under mutual aid from other places outside of London. So it's a good day to be a burglar if there's a big demo in London, because you're less likely to get caught.
I think, Paul, any day is a good day to be a burglar.
And I think you know, this sort of putting Christ back into Christmas demo, I would love to know how many of those people actually go to church, can name 5 books in the Bible, can name any of the apostles, tell us what the 3rd commandment is, because I don't suppose they can. You know, so that is very performative and narcissistic as well. And I would be against the big demos that blocked up London on the Palestine issue week after week after week. I would just say, OK, you know, you have the right to protest, but you haven't got the right to bring the city to a standstill. And you certainly don't have the right to intimidate people of a religious minority by doing your demo outside synagogues. And maybe the routes need to be looked at. Maybe Hyde Park's a better venue than central London. You know, so the right to protest, yes, but up to a point.
No, but there are already laws in place for all of these things. We don't need more laws. We don't need a more kind of onerous interpretation of those laws.
We need better policing then, perhaps.
Well, no, we do. We need more police, but we need fairer policing. But there's already, you know, public order offences, you know, that apply to people misbehaving, people standing in the way of the highway. You know, that also is an offence. So we don't need to stop people protesting in order to police protests, because the laws already exist.
I've been arrested twice on protests. So I would say that the way the police are behaving now, they have always behaved.
What did you do, Lisa?
Allegedly put a sticker on a window.
Wow, what an offence.
That was...
convicted then?
I wasn't. I went to court, though. I had to go to court with it.
So what did the sticker say?
It said we've found
something you can repeat.
No, it was actually because I was part of something called Class War, and we were sort of it was very satirical. So we had stickers, and they said we have found new homes for the rich, and it was the crosses from "Oh, What a Lovely War." You know, the.
How's that offensive? Even if it is offensive, how's that offensive?
Exactly. Well, it wasn't, but I was done for a public order offence, but also for the sticker had to be taken off, so it was some sort of
criminal damage.
Criminal damage, yeah. And I had to go to court for that. And when the police, and again, this has always happened with the police. It's just that now I think other people who have not protested before are just encountering it. So when the police looked at the CCTV and found out that I hadn't put the sticker on the window, they didn't drop the charges. What they did is I got done for joint enterprise. That I was with someone.
Oh, so everyone in the protest could have been co-guilty of it.
Yeah.
But no, here's where we are, though. We're either saying that they need to be policed more, but they shouldn't take police away from anywhere else, that we need to have the right to protest, but only in certain places. And the only way to police that is to take more police away from everywhere else. And then when you don't actually do a protest, you get prosecuted for anything to shut you up. It's an absolute mess, isn't it?
But this is the politicisation, isn't it? I mean, if you just take Epping as an example, where there was clearly and I know it's a very well-worn phrase, but a 2-tier approach to policing. You know, initially, there were hardly any police officers there and lots of peaceful mums and grandmothers. Then all of a sudden the police start turning up after a few days en masse to antagonise. Then you have Antifa turn up at Epping railway station, who are walked... abusive and violent. Anyway, and the point is that they were marched from Epping railway station to the peaceful protesters by the police. But they weren't policed, but then those on the peaceful protester side were persecuted.
Both sides always say they're the peaceful ones and it's the other...
But there's lots of video evidence.
I think the problem is that both sides now just want to come out and have fun or a bit of a ruck, or they want to dress up and shout. It's got nothing to do with politics.
No, but the policing should be... But the police should be fair and equitable, and it's not. We know it's not. We know that from the Palestinian protests.
Well, the police have never...
hang on a minute. They were cracking heads in Parliament Square and arresting en masse. They've been arresting hundreds of people.
No, that's now Palestinian action. No, I'm talking about 3 or 4 months ago, where there were Palestinian protests that ran riot through Trafalgar Square, and the police stood there and did nothing.
Well, they did some arrests, but mainly of Jewish people together.
Exactly, yeah.
The police have always policed politically. They have. And I think it's only now because the people who have never protested before, perhaps people who are coming out to protest outside the hotels, they've never protested before. They've never felt that they needed to. And now they're probably just seeing that's how the police behave. But they have always behaved like that.
OK, well, I should say, I mean, there's no police here, but if they were, I'm sure they would say that they're not two-tiered. We should give them the right to have that defence. Well, coming up, Keir Starmer is being warned not to adopt the same Orwellian censorship plan as Emmanuel Macron. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight with me, Stephen Allen. So Keir Starmer is being warned not to adopt the same Orwellian censorship plan that Emmanuel Macron has. Let's see what the French have been up to. The French president is currently looking to label outlets which provide good and bad coverage, enabling authorities to remove content which they deem to spread false information. In fear of the government pursuing a copycat plan, former Culture Secretary Michelle Donnellan said the moment the state starts handing out the truth labels, journalism stops serving the public and starts second-guessing the government. Well, I'm joined now by founder of Fair Cop and former police officer Harry Miller. Harry, thank you for being with us. What's happening over in France there? Give us some details.
Well, of course, Monsieur Macron, the Pied Piper President of France, has decided that it would be a grand idea to label news outlets either good and bad. And of course, in Britain, Keir Starmer and his little inner Goebbels, Lisa Nandy, have said that this is a great idea. What Britain wants more than anything is a Pravda-style authentication of news outlets. So the government get the task of labelling what's good and what's bad. And of course, we know this is a absolutely terrible idea. Now, of course, the government say that they are doing this, and it's all about protecting the people. Hogwash. This is all about the government protecting itself. The government wants us to hear what said it a threat. This is out of the playbook of those who had great suspicion over the printing press, because my goodness, the hoi polloi, the average person might be able to read something that the government at the time didn't like. It's the same crisis that the Catholic Church had when they discovered that the Bible was going to be turned from Latin into English, and people like you and I might read it and get the wrong idea. It's exactly the same impulse, that those people who are the most convinced that they are the holders of the truth are most keen to censor those of us who are simply seekers of it. That's what's happening here. Now, if we take an instance that's right off the press, 5 years ago, one of our great British journalists, Alison Pearson, happened to mention that mDNA vaccines might not be a good idea, particularly for children. What happened? She was labelled far right. She was labelled a dangerous news source. Her Twitter account was taken away, and she would have got a 1-star rating from this government. 5 years on.
Well, to be fair, that happened at a time when it wasn't this government in charge.
No, this is not just one government. This is successive government. We've had a Blairite government since 1997. They've just got different colours on their door. So it's not peculiar to this government. Repeated governments have had a peculiar, dangerous instinct to censor the British people and to censor the British press. Now, we can't do that. We cannot do that. The government has to trust the people, you and I, that we understand truth from lies, that we have the ability to explore different opinions. And most of the time, you know, we get it right. Most of the time, we're able to smell something that is complete BS and go, that's just not right. You know, leave that to some dark and dirty corner of the internet where, of course, it will thrive.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of us will be able to discern truth from fiction. But one thing's for certain, it is not the government's job to become the arbiters of truth. Once we go down that route, then we are living in a totalitarian, newspeak, newsthink, Orwellian world. We cannot have it.
A couple of things on that. I suppose I should say that Lisa Nandy's not here, but I'm sure she'd say she doesn't have an inner Goebbels, so I think we've covered ourselves on that one. And Labour do say that they're championing free speech, but is this whole thing left too late? If you can try and control the media, but isn't the bigger scary thing in the room social media? That's where your real falsehoods and AI could happen.
Yeah, but again, most people are able to tell the difference between complete nonsense and truth. We're not stupid people. We didn't get to where we are today by being stupid. As a species, and particularly here in England and Britain, where we have good access to truth, we're able to muddle our way through. What I'm absolutely certain about, it is not the job of the government to decide which news agencies get 5 stars and which get 1. If a news agency consistently puts out false information, then there are channels, there are means, there's Ofcom. Yeah. There are libel laws. There are all sorts of ways of shutting down news agencies. We don't need the government doing this.
Thank you for that, Harry. That's founder of Fair Cop and former police officer Harry Miller. Thank you for that. Coming up, I'll be telling you how asylum seekers are using a loophole to trick their way into Britain. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News now. Let's get your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, welcome to your latest GB News weather. There is a northwest-southeast split with the weather at the moment. Heavy rain, strong winds affecting northern and western areas quite dry across the southeast. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. A squeeze in the isobars indicating strong winds, particularly across the north and the west of the country over the next 24 hours. And rain just continuing to drive in this evening. Northern Ireland, Scotland, northern England seeing heavy rain through into the early hours. And Sunday and into Monday as well. Yellow and amber warnings for rain in force here. Further southeast towards southeast England, clear here overnight, some fog patches, temperatures falling into single figures. So a chilly start here, but generally wet across the north and the west to start Sunday morning. Some dry weather though across northern Scotland first thing. Some glimmers of sunshine once the sun rises here, but wet for central southern parts of Scotland. An amber warning in force across southwest Scotland. Heavy rain building here. Heavy rain for Northern Ireland, northern England. Across Cumbria and Met Office, amber warning in force here too, and rain starting to move into Wales through Sunday morning. But a dry start across the southeast with some sunshine, and through the day very little changes. It remains windy and wet across the northwest. Rainfall totals continue to build. Over several days we could see 250 millimetres of rain over the high ground of northwest England, southwest Scotland, leading to flooding here, but a wet day for much of Northern Ireland, the rest of Scotland, North Wales as well. Central southern parts of England, a dry day with some sunny spells, generally cloudier on Sunday compared to Saturday. Quick look at Monday. Further rain for Wales, southwest England, stretching into northern England. Drier for Northern Ireland and Scotland. And again, southeast England holding on to the dry weather. Some hazy spells of sunshine. It remains unsettled through much of next week as well. Temperatures generally near average for the time of year. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. You're watching Alex Armstrong Tonight with me, Stephen Allen. Tonight,
the Prime Minister might call this an island of strangers. When Farage says jump, Labour might say how high.
the calm in the Channel is shattered as hundreds of asylum seekers set sail for Britain after a 28-day lull. Has Labour championed their efforts too early? And are they bowing to reform's policies? Plus, increased presence across the capital today as thousands march in protest to digital IDs, stand up to racism, and
we are Russia's next target. And we are already in harm's way.
The Secretary-General of NATO putting out a stark warning on Russia, but are we actually heading to war with Russia? And will Britain be prepared? That's my head-to-head. The Met will not investigate claims Andrew asked bodyguard to investigate Virginia Giuffre. Was that the right choice? Plus,
free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever.
Labour's warned not to copy France's Orwellian crackdown on their national media. Will free speech remain protected in the UK? My panel tonight: Russell Quirk, Reform UK councillor; Paul Richards, former Labour advisor; and Dr. Lisa Mackenzie, senior lecturer in inequality and author. A massive hour for you on the way next. But first, let's get your news.
Good evening. It's just gone 10 o'clock. Here are your headlines. 700 Channel migrants have arrived in the UK so far today, taking the total number to over 40,000 for this year. Throughout the day, France and the UK have responded to around a dozen migrant boats as they took advantage of a break in weather conditions to make the illegal crossing. The 28-day pause in the crossings is the longest spell without any migrant activity in the Channel since 2018. Buckingham Palace has said the King will be deeply touched by the positive reaction to his message about his cancer recovery journey. King Charles has been praised for highlighting the importance of early cancer screening after he shared the good news his cancer treatment can be scaled back in the new year. Meanwhile, Cancer Research UK said tens of thousands of people have visited the website to seek information about available screenings since the King's message. His personal message, which comes almost 2 years since his diagnosis, was broadcast in support of Stand Up to Cancer, a joint campaign by Cancer Research UK and Channel 4. In other news, Virginia Giuffre's family say justice has not been served after the Met Police said they will not investigate claims Andrew asked an officer to dig up dirt on her. In October, it was reported the former Duke of York passed Virginia Giuffre's date of birth and social security number to a taxpayer-funded bodyguard in 2011 to try to smear her. But after assessing the claims, the Met Police says they will not launch an investigation, but they remain committed to thoroughly evaluating any new information. While Andrew has not commented on the reports, he has consistently denied all allegations against him. President Donald Trump has vowed to retaliate after 3 Americans died after being ambushed by a lone ISIS gunman in Syria.
We will retaliate. Thank you very much.
The Pentagon spokesman confirmed the deaths, saying 2 soldiers and 1 civilian US interpreter were gunned down in Palmyra, with 3 others wounded. Now, the Conservatives will ditch the 2030 ban on petrol cars if the party wins the next election. That's according to reports in the Telegraph newspaper. Kemi Badenoch said she would scrap Downing Street's electric vehicle quotas, describing them as an economic act of self-harm. The Conservative leader warned that Labour risked leaving Britain isolated and uncompetitive, and it plays into China's hands. And 2 men have been arrested after a beloved Christmas tree which stood in a village for more than a decade was cut down. The tree was felled in Shotton Colliery in County Durham, just hours after the Christmas lights were switched on. Durham police said it has caused huge upset. The police said they were in the process of charging and remanding a 26-year-old male with criminal damage to the tree, while a 23-year-old has since been released under investigation. Those are the latest GB News headlines. I'll have more for you in an hour.
Asylum seekers are using a loophole to trick their way into Britain, with illegal migrant smuggling gangs reportedly handing out a 25-page Arabic playbook through messaging apps, coaching migrants, mostly Iraqis, to pose as a thing called badoon. Badoon's a term given to stateless nomads denied citizenship after Kuwait's independence. The Home Office's 2024 country policy, an information note, says that Kuwait badoons recognises badoons as a stateless Arab minority that are particular social group under the Refugee Convention, while distinguishing between documented and undocumented badoon. And the Home Office appear to have known about this for over a year now. And now GB News has covered this important story a few weeks ago, so we're following it up. And joined now by journalist Mitchell Durden, who helped to uncover this, and my panel, Russell Quirk, former UK councillor, reform, not former. You'll find out from today's show. Former Labour advisor, and Dr. Lisa Mackenzie, a senior lecturer in equality and author. So let's go to give us a recap, if you would, Mitchell.
Sure. Sorry to correct you. It's the government have actually known about this for 11 years. It was previously the Tory government who've known about this. So essentially, these gangs in Calais, they found a loophole within our system. The Home Office policy on undocumented badoons, essentially, it is so easy and it is so attainable. They're classing it as a 100% way to get refugee status in the UK. The qualifications, there's only 3 of them, are so incredibly simple. One is you must not have Kuwaiti citizenship. All of us on this panel don't have it. Everyone in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Palestine, none of them are Kuwaiti. The second one is you must have some form of persecution. So you have to provide a story to the Home Office that essentially, if you go back to Kuwait, you are in trouble with the government. And the way this is determined, in the UK, when we determine court cases, we have a thing called beyond all reasonable doubt. A judge has to be 99% sure of something to prove someone's guilty of a crime. Within this category the Home Office use, it's not that. It's called balance of probabilities. So what that means is, essentially, you more or less have to say something that sounds about right. So if you say some key words that the Home Office tick off a sheet, you've met this criteria. And the first part is you must know generally about the country of Kuwait. So there is a question sheet about what's the dialing codes of Kuwait, what do police cars in Kuwait look like, what's the flag of Kuwait, all fairly standard stuff. And these questions, this is easier than the GCSE exam, essentially.
Well, it sounds like a pub quiz, if I'm brutally honest.
Well, exactly, and it's all in the manual out there. That's why anyone can do it. It's so simple.
Well, so which is the big side of the story? I suppose there's 2 things. The fact that the policy is so flawed, but also these guides are out there. So even if you don't know the answers to those questions, you just find yourself a guide on Telegram or whichever other app that they're using, and it shows that there's a market, there's a demand out there for this.
Well, exactly. Any nationality can claim it. Actually, it has a higher acceptance rate than Ukrainian refugees. Really? It's about 81% are getting accepted. The ones who don't are generally people who are a bit misinformed. For example, they might accidentally claim asylum in Greece or a country on the way here. The Dublin Convention outrules that, so it's generally people who make mistakes. It's a fairly simple thing to do. Anyone can do it. It's so simple.
It would be 100% if they were actually good at it.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they'll update the guide that they're sending around, is it? So, so I was wrong saying they've had a year to try and fix this, 11 years. So what progress of trying to fix this problem?
Nothing. They made a statement on this 3 weeks ago, essentially saying, we know what we're doing. We have all these great procedures in place, like detailed questions. I just told you some of the questions. They're not detailed. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all, really. This is carrying on.
Paul, I'll bring you on this. Does this make your heart sink, hearing that these things are happening?
First of all, badoon is a slight slur, so you need to caveat that in some contexts that is not a nice word to use. But with the people we're talking about, you know, are being preyed upon by these criminal gangs that we've been discussing all night, all year. And it just shows the sophistication of these gangs. They will try and game the system. They'll, you know, as you were saying, you know, find the loophole. They'll prep people. They'll give them all this support, often in return for money. I mean, these badoon people are being often, you know, exploited themselves. But I would say, and I'd say this after 3 weeks ago when you came in, I said, you know, ministers should be on this. And I'm disappointed to hear that they're not, because it strikes me this is something where Home Office ministers should be all over this like a rash. They should be looking at these loopholes and closing them. And if you can discernibly do that and say, look, these people, you know, for whatever reason should not be here, then the system needs to work better. So I would hope, after this new research by Mitchell, that ministers will attend to this and get onto it.
Yeah. I think we can still keep using the word, given that it's in the Home Office note where they use it, so I think we don't need to be too worried about saying it here. But so, any word of the Home Office actually starting to be a place that works?
No, particularly no. They've not been serious about it, really. Nothing's changed. They had this big statement the other week about how we're going to crack down on all these different things that are going on within the asylum system, but nothing mentioned this Badoon loophole. Nothing at all.
Well, let's get an MP to put down a parliamentary question and just start teasing this out. You know, let's use the system. There'll be MPs more than happy to raise this issue through that device, and actually, you know, let's put some pressure on the ministers.
Do you think
Why
there'll
not?
be a Labour MP that would do that?
Well, Mike Tapp would.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think he would,
Do
actually.
you?
Yeah,
Is he watching? Mike, if you're watching, let's make this happen. I feel like we could actually get some
There's 650 of them. I'm pretty sure one will be able to put a PQ down on this particular issue.
But you're going to say one would be watching.
I wouldn't hold your breath, to be honest.
Even the
I think
ones,
they might, absolutely, of course. They would have form for doing so.
They could
but look, who knew that the asylum system in Britain was being gamed? Said no one ever. Look, this is absolutely outrageous. And this just speaks to the kind of over-liberalisation of our civil service and our politicians, doesn't it? Insofar as not wanting to close this loophole because there might be some outrage from the left because of the genuine Badoons, I guess, of which there are probably, what, I don't know, 3 or 4 a year.
Well, no, that's a good point, though. How would reform change things so that you actually still have a policy that would actually work for Q8 Badoons and stop the gaming of the system?
Well, I think the same thing applies as the law states now, which is that you should be granted asylum or apply for asylum to be granted in the first country that you get to. I think there's a number of countries between us and Iraq and Q8. I mean, not least the neighbours of Jordan and Egypt. I mean, why are those Middle Eastern countries not taking these people? Obviously, they're not coming from Kuwait because that's the whole fraud that's being perpetrated. But if these people predominantly are coming from Pakistan and from Syria and from Afghanistan, why are other countries that are in that region not taking these people, let alone those people then coming through Greece, Italy, France to get to us? There honestly should be no reason whatsoever why we should take the burden of those individuals in Britain.
I think it's incompetence. I don't think it's sort of ideological at all. I actually just think that it's absolute incompetence, because for 11 years, if this has been happening for 11 years, and unfortunately I do feel a bit sorry for Labour actually, because the incompetence has been going on for years and now it's stopped, and unfortunately Labour's in power. But I think that this has been massive.
But isn't this also tied to the UN Convention? Isn't there some UN Convention element here that we think as a nation, therefore, that we have to be bound by, which is why we have to have these laws as relaxed
well, it's because we come out of the Dublin Convention because of Brexit, which makes it easier for people to come here, as you were saying.
Brexit's fault.
So, partly, yes, I'm afraid it is.
One for the drinking game people at home. Yeah. So you said 100% or near 100%. What about the absolute figures? Do we know how many cases there are?
Well, between the years 2000 and 2020, there was about 3,000 odd people who were doing this. When this small boats started kicking off in 2021, it's over 6,000. When we'd actually done the article, we were using figures up to Q2, so we don't have a proper reflection of how much it is now, but year on year, it's exponentially growing year on year.
But the acceptance rate I read today is 82%.
Yeah. That'd be correct.
Yeah. As opposed to, I mean, we already have a very, very, inverted commas, healthy asylum acceptance rate. It's about 60% of all people that apply for asylum in Britain actually get it, whereas in France it's about 5%. So, yeah, about 82%. So it's getting towards that 100% that you referenced.
So how, can I just ask a question then? So how is this something to do with Europe? If France has a 5% acceptance, but we have a 82, so how is this anything to do with Brexit then?
I think that's one of their rhetorical questions.
Hang on. It's not 5% of Badoons. You're talking about 5%.
No, I'm talking about generally. Yeah.
But the 82% relates to Badoons.
Yes.
So you're comparing apples with
but
pears,
I'm just wondering.
oranges, whatever.
The problem that we've got in the UK is we are incompetent. Our
Well, there are too few people processing the claims.
Yeah,
There's too
yeah.
rigid rules, obviously, that means
Which
people
is
can game it.
incompetency, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's state incompetence.
No, but we also have a government that thinks all immigration is good, which
No,
is
it
simply
doesn't.
not
That's
true.
that's a party political point that is absolutely rubbish.
Well, then why don't they do something about it?
Well, we are doing.
Well, I suppose they do. They have.
We've just seen the numbers today. We're not doing anything about it.
We've run out of time to keep this argument going, but thank you very much, journalist Mitchell Durden, giving us more on that. The Home Office concluded at the time the investigation which had involved the Jordanian and Kuwaiti authorities and the US Embassy in Amman had cast serious doubt on whether the applicants were in fact Kuwaiti Badoons, and these doubts, which had extended to some sponsors who had been granted asylum in the UK on that basis, were eventually confirmed. So you're up to date. Right, it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and it's our festive treat. Your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date with an incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Here's all the details you need for a chance to make it yours.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. What would you say yes to? For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, coming up, Virginia Giuffre's family are deeply disappointed after the Met Police have said they will not look into reports regarding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Oh, that's so cute. You got a birthday present for Eamon.
What do you mean so cute? It's wrapped in Tottenham Hotspur paper.
That's what's so cute. I bet you love that.
There you go. Look at that. It's in Tottenham Hotspur paper. Would you like it now?
Yeah.
Come on.
Open it now.
Come on, birthday boy.
I can't possibly
Happy birthday.
I can't possibly see what you could have bought me from the Tottenham Hotspur shop that would be of any interest. Oh, it's necessary with Big Pat.
What?
This is Big Pat.
Listen, don't get overexcited. That's all I can say.
Well, the paper aside,
Apart
from the paper.
Oh, an SPV vehicle.
There it is.
Absolutely incredible.
A what?
That's from Captain Scarlet.
Do.
Oh,
yeah.
no. You did say you wanted toys.
That is joyous, Paul. Thank you very much indeed,
Happy
my
birthday.
friend.
Are you going to keep it in the box, or are you going to play with it? I'll have to get another one.
What if I take it out and put it back in the box?
Yeah, I think we'll be all right.
I've never had one this size before.
How big was the other one you had then? Was it smaller?
About the size of the box.
Oh, right, OK, nice.
Yeah, this is very cute. Very, very good.
What is it?
It's a Corgi SPV vehicle. It's from Captain Scarlet. Special Patrol Vehicle.
Oh, a special patrol vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. When you were a kid.
Oh, come on, Eddie. It's an SPV. It's a special patrol vehicle.
Oh, lovely. I'm so pleased that you're happy.
That's
well
actually
done, Quitty.
quite tasteful paper.
It's not bad, is it? Do you not want the paper? Do you not want to keep the Spurs paper as a souvenir?
You've also got a little Spurs card here. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And it says, Eamon, happy birthday from Paul. You've got the nicest handwriting in the world.
Oh, really? Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's like a celebrity's handwriting.
Yeah.
Well, you are a celeb.
Oh, now, please. It's not my birthday, everyone.
Anyway, Anyway, happy birthday.
Anyway, happy birthday.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight with me, Stephen Allen. So, Virginia Giuffre's family say that they're deeply disappointed after the Met Police confirmed that they will not investigate claims that Mr Mountbatten Windsor asked for a taxpayer-funded bodyguard to dig up dirt on her. Scotland Yard dropped its inquiries into allegations that Andrew passed Giuffre's date of birth and social security number to a royal protection officer back in 2011 when she was a teenager. The Met says that the threshold for criminal investigation was not met, but insists it remains open to reviewing any new evidence. I'm joined now by journalist Daphne Barak. Thanks for joining us. So you've been looking into this for a while. Give us some background on what got us to the point we're at today.
Well, Steve, first of all, it's not new for us that powerful men who are being accused by women for rape and sexual misconduct, there's a smear campaign against them. There was Harvey Weinstein, there are other people. The good thing that Me Too didn't stop it, but let's say decreased it, right? So it's definitely immoral. As for the legal part of it, what do we have, Steve? We have an email that says that Andrew actually saying to the deputy private secretary of the Queen, I contacted a policeman, which is, of course, funded by the taxpayers, and told him to smear her, frankly, right? However, Andrew is not known for his credibility. I'm the one who actually exposed his lies when he told the BBC that he cut any connections with Epstein after his visit in New York in 2010. And as you remember, 2 months ago, I'm the one that is credited for bringing him down because I exposed his emails to Epstein afterward, and very oily emails. We are in that together. So do we believe, Andrew, that he really told the policeman to do it? And do we know if the policeman really did it? So that's things for the police to investigate. And that's very technical, whether they have enough to go for or not, right? But I think his biggest problem is really what's coming next weekend. That's the thing.
Because we've got more files coming out, and that's the question that struck me. Why would the Met Police do this now when there's the potential of more evidence coming when more files get released?
This I don't know. That's up to them to know. You and I do know that the DOJ would release, as of next weekend, hundreds of thousands of documents, right? We have no idea what's in there, but I understand plenty. And I myself is going with my 2 papers on television with another big expose after I exposed Sarah Ferguson's email to Andrew. I'm sorry, I apologize. You are the wonderful, my supreme friend, and I exposed Andrew's email. So it's good news for him today, but I mean, we're looking at only a week from now, Steve, that things are going to be like a tsunami. So I don't know how good news it is.
Yeah, and also I was pondering the question when they say that the threshold's not been met. Are we to read from that they don't have any evidence that it happened, or that what he may have done wouldn't have been worthy of prosecution? You see what I mean? They're slightly two different things.
I'm just suspecting because come on, a guy invites BBC Newsnight and to the Buckingham Palace, your official residence, right? And lie to the nation. I seized any contacts with him ever since this visit, right? In fact, I seized any contact from 2006 when he was indicted. That was the only one. And then I expose all these emails. I'm not so sure he really contacted this policeman or whatever. I think it was more fear from mommy. Oh my gosh, don't forget, it was just after the photo with Virginia Giuffre and him was exposed by the Mail on Sunday. And it was, oh my God, the palace, at this point, he was a working title. He was still a trade ambassador. So there was a big panic mode, and basically we just needed to tell them, I'm on it, I'm handling it. Whether he did it, I don't know, and we don't know whether the policeman did it. So it's really how credible is Andrew today?
And it's interesting that that's the question that we're asking. But also, I suppose, it's a different frame, a different context now. Back then, he was still, as you say, working as a trade envoy, still called Prince, still using the Duke title. Things have changed drastically in recent months. So it's interesting that the Met have said this now, when, if ever there's a time to get away with doing more investigation, it would be when it's just an ordinary citizen you're looking at.
Yes, and I think that really explains it. I mean, when I was exposing these emails and we were looking, and we were in disbelief. He was signing HRH, and HRH, the Duke of York. I mean, his whole titles, and you would think, and the only explanation for these lies, and then he sits on 2019 and he with the BBC and he lies. I think the only explanation that he was his mother's favorite son. He was very entitled. He felt he was invincible, and he just never thought that he would face what you and I and everybody else would face one day. And that's the only explanation. I don't have any other explanation for that.
Yeah, interesting. So you're, from all that you see from your sources, do you have any sense of what's going to come next week when we get more files?
It's going to be a tsunami. There would be so much. I mean, some of it would be, technical, irrelevant, everything, but it will be everything. It will not be, by the way, Steve, it will not be most of it would not be as soon as you think, because there would be lots of reduction, because other people are mentioned, and there will be many legal potential lawsuits if they don't do it. I know the public is very hungry, both in America and UK, and other parts of the world, to see everything. Everything will not be revealed immediately. But isn't
it also the case that in America, that obviously from our point of view, this is the big story, but I suppose they'd be less interested in the details on Andrew. They've got bigger fish to try and look at the emails of. So should we not get our hopes too high?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Donald Trump, who happens to be a longtime friend of mine, is somehow involved. By the way, of course, they were friends. There's not even an argument. There were no friends, but he did disown him way before before Epstein was indicted. So, but in America, the Democrats are looking for Donald Trump. They don't care about Andrew, and the Republican wants to retaliate with Bill Clinton, or who's frankly not relevant, but they want to retaliate. And there are others. You remember, there's a congresswoman, and there are other people involved. So in America, it will be less interesting. However, it's coming, and it will be interesting. As I said, I myself is going to expose soon a third section after I expose Fergie's email to Andrew and
Daphne. That means
Fergie's email to Epstein.
I hope I get to speak to you again very soon then. Thank you for that, journalist Daphne Barak. Andrew had previously and continues to deny any wrongdoing. Important that we say that. So, coming up, all of tomorrow's headlines today, and I'll be telling you why Andy Burnham might be after the PM's job. This is Stephen Allen on Alex Armstrong Tonight on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're after some holiday sun, you'll find it in Italy, where it's going to be mostly fine this weekend. Showers continuing in Cyprus, and also across the Canaries, plenty of showers and a strong wind here. Unsettled weather also into the south and east of Spain, with some heavy thundery outbreaks of rain moving into Ibiza later into Monday. And we're going to see an increase in showers across Cyprus early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, welcome to your latest GB News weather. There is a northwest-southeast split with the weather at the moment. Heavy rain, strong winds affecting northern and western areas, quite dry across the southeast. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. A squeeze in isobars indicating strong winds, particularly across the north and the west of the country over the next 24 hours. And rain just continuing to drive in this evening. Northern Ireland, Scotland, northern England seeing heavy rain through into the early hours. And Sunday and into Monday as well. Yellow and amber warnings for rain in force here. Further southeast towards southeast England, clear here overnight, some fog patches, temperatures falling into single figures. So a chilly start here, but generally wet across the north and the west to start Sunday morning. Some dry weather though across northern Scotland first thing. Some glimmers of sunshine once the sun rises here, but wet for central southern parts of Scotland. An amber warning in force across southwest Scotland. Heavy rain building here. Heavy rain for Northern Ireland, Northern England. Across Cumbria and Met Office, amber warning in force here too, and rain starting to move into Wales through Sunday morning. But a dry start across the southeast with some sunshine, and through the day, very little changes. It remains windy and wet across the northwest. Rainfall totals continue to build. Over several days, we could see 250 millimetres of rain over the high ground of northwest England, southwest Scotland, leading to flooding here, but a wet day for much of Northern Ireland, the rest of Scotland, North Wales as well. Central southern parts of England, a dry day with some sunny spells, generally cloudier on Sunday compared to Saturday. Quick look at Monday. Further rain for Wales, southwest England, stretching into northern England. Drier for Northern Ireland and Scotland. And again, southeast England holding on to the dry weather. Some hazy spells of sunshine. It remains unsettled through much of next week as well. Temperatures generally near average for the time of year. See you soon.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America. They're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Alex Armstrong tonight with Stephen Allen, only on GB News. Time to bring you tomorrow's front pages. Let's start by having a look at the Daily Mail. They go with Starmer rocked by new Andy Burnham coup plot. The front page of the Telegraph has Tories will ditch ban on petrol cars. The Observer will go with to ban or not to ban. Social media debate splits the government. And the Sun's front page, this is not justice. Just been covering that story about Andrew. I nearly said Prince there, but you don't get to do that these days. Let's get my thoughts of my panel. Russell Quirk, Reform UK Councillor, still current Reform UK Councillor. Paul Richards, former Labour advisor, and Dr Lisa Mackenzie, senior lecturer in inequality and author as well. So let's talk Andy Burnham, first of all. Should we go to that one? Because that is... There's a coup plot. How's this going to pan out?
It's a story that doesn't go away. I mean, this has been around for weeks, hasn't it? Yeah. Weeks.
I want to know what Paul's going to say about
Paul, go on. Give us the latest.
Well, first of all, there's no vacancy. But if there was a vacancy, then the person who has to be the next Prime Minister has to be an MP. Andy Burnham is doing a great job as Mayor of Manchester. I was there just the other day. The buses are fabulous. He's doing a great job. He needs to carry on doing that job. If he were to become a Labour MP by some mechanism of an MP standing down, a by-election, I don't think there's a seat where he would then win, because I think the electorate would say we're not going to be taken like idiots by you lot just manipulating us.
Paul, sorry, are you suggesting there isn't a winnable Labour seat
I think in those circumstances, Reform would win it, so he wouldn't even become an MP. Then if he did become an MP, he'd have to get the support of 80-odd Labour colleagues in that situation to be the candidate. Then he's got the Labour Party to vote for him and then the country to vote for him. So it ain't happening, Lisa, it ain't happening.
I think
he may be your pin-up, but it's not happening in real life.
No, he's not our pin-up. I just think that he's the only chance that Labour's got. I don't think they've got another chance. I don't think there's another person in the Labour Party.
You don't think Wes Streeting?
Well, he's tainted. They're all tainted by Starmer, aren't they? You know, anybody who's been in his cabinet is tainted by this.
Well, hang on. I mean, Andy Burnham was a special advisor under Tony Blair.
He was, but that is, what, 20 years ago now?
When I knew him, he was a Blairite special advisor.
But now politics has moved on very quickly, and anything connected to Starmer is toxic. The country hates it.
But that's why, from my point of view, we want Keir Starmer to stay right to the end, albeit we don't think a reform that the election will be 2029. We're very confident it's going to be before that. Because the economy is in such a bad place. Just a year and a half
hang on, the
to this
economy doesn't determine...
government. No, it does. If you think back to 1976, which some of us on this sofa can remember.
Well, Wilson didn't have a majority of...
No, it wasn't Wilson.
200.
It was when Dennis Healey, who was the Chancellor at the time, had to go cap in hand to the IMF and say, we are bust, we are bankrupt, we are going to be in the same position in this country in a year or two's time.
Well,
Rachel Reeves is going to have to go to the IMF. Then there'll be a vote of no confidence.
Well, that's the question I'd like to...
Vote of no confidence, and there'll be a collapse in the government. Reform will be in government by about the end of about 2027.
Governments with 200 majorities don't collapse. You know, Facebook throws up what you were doing a year ago, right? On my Facebook, it threw up what I was doing a year ago, was sitting on this sofa with a big GB News banner saying, are we heading for a Rachel Reeves recession a year ago? Funnily enough, no, we weren't.
GDP just this week has contracted by 0.1%. That's exactly what's happened this week.
There isn't a recession.
Exactly what's happened this week. We're on the way to it.
There isn't a recession.
We're on the way to it.
And growth is actually in the economy. So the government is not collapsing.
One at a time or not at all.
There's not a technical recession, but out in the country, people are feeling that very, very skint.
Sure, but that doesn't mean there's going to be a general election.
No, hang on, guys.
No, I don't think there would. No, I don't think there would. You know, within politics, it's very difficult to get rid of a government. A government literally has to commit suicide. That's what happened.
This is not about a recession. There will be a recession. We're already seeing the fact that we are on a knife edge in terms of GDP growth. It's forecast to be only 1.5% this year, and literally just this week we've had numbers that say last month the economy shrank by 0.1%. The reason you go to the IMF for a bailout is not because you're in a recession.
To the IMF for a bailout.
But we will.
Why are you talking about?
Hang on, let me finish. It's not because of GDP. GDP has nothing to do with going to the IMF. Borrowing does. We are now borrowing £3 trillion at a cost of £111 billion a year in interest. Our rating, as far as other countries and lenders are concerned, is not good, which means we're paying a high rate. What will happen is we'll borrow more and more and more, like we did in the last budget and the budget before, and eventually that will be completely unsustainable. The economy will collapse and we'll have to go to the IMF.
Guess what? The economy is not going to collapse.
It will.
The markets reacted extremely well to the budget. None of the policy unravelled at all. There is growth forecast.
Because they've taxed more people to pay for the debt.
There's going to be growth in the economy. And under the Quintennial Act, you have an election within a 5-year period.
Unless there's a vote of no confidence.
And we've had a year and a half, so we've got another 3 years to go.
Unless there's a vote of no confidence.
I don't know how that mechanism would work. I mean, you know, governments don't usually give up power easily, and they don't, and you know, they don't commit suicide. They try and hang on. So I don't think there will be an election until the next election.
And that's the thing. We've been through recessions without losing governments, but after that,
but this isn't about recession.
But what is happening in the Labour government is that Starmer is deeply unpopular.
It's unpopular with you. I know you don't like him, but
he's
I mean,
not Paul.
Hang on, he's the least popular Prime Minister in history.
Every Prime Minister.
No,
he is actually the least popular Prime Minister in history.
I come from the Red Wall. They have not hated a Prime Minister like Starmer since Thatcher.
And when you projection,
his net approval rating is like -50, isn't it?
You want to go in my post office on any one day? They hate him.
Yeah,
sounds like a fun trip.
But I'd like him to stay in place.
Which is there's cars on the front page of one of the newspapers, which is the one we wanted to chat about there.
Telegraph. Tories will ditch ban on petrol cars.
Yeah, how are you feeling about that?
I love that because I love a car, and I love in particular a petrol car. I do have a couple of them. Let's not delve into that any further, thank you. And particularly old school stuff. Look, the notion, as we've kind of talked about as a country, as part of this kind of hapless, failed EU project that we're thankfully now no longer part of, that we can just completely do away with 75% of the cars that are purchased every year that happen to be petrol and diesel in favour of something that's going to live off solar panels and wind power. I mean, it was always a fanciful and ridiculous notion. So, of course, Tories and Reform would reverse that particular edict. But already the EU apparently are talking about the edict not coming in 2030, which it was going to do. They're now, even they are going to push it back to 2040. So it's another one of these stupid fantasy ideological projects that actually isn't even going to come to fruition. But I'm glad to see that petrol cars will live on.
Timing's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think the country's ready to do this yet. I mean, I know I'm not. There's no way I could afford an electric car. Absolutely no way. Also, I live in rented accommodation and I live in a terrace house. So there is not a chance that I'm going to get my own plug-in. So that means that everything becomes very much expensive for most of the country. I think this would be very popular in the country, actually.
But the government has also disincentivised electric cars. You know, the one minute they're giving subsidies off your tax bill and so on. Now, in the last budget, now they're increasing a pay per mile charge. They're literally talking out of both sides of their mouth at the same time.
Well, people that drive an electric car, go on the same roads as the rest of us, so they should contribute to that. That's what that was all about in the budget. I think this idea of a more phased, introduction is probably a good idea. I think that's fair. We desperately need to protect the jobs in the UK car industry and all the supply chain issues around.
They don't have to be electric cars to protect jobs.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can phase the introduction in. But, at the end of the day, this is an important part of the infrastructure
but
of our economy,
shouldn't it be about consumer demand? Shouldn't it be a free market where we can actually say to those car drivers and potential car owners, rather than... the only reason electric cars sell is because they're so heavily subsidised by the taxpayer. That's completely unfair.
Henry Ford point that they would want a more effective horse. Is that not right? If you ask the consumers, I think
it's the consumer choice.
Just my sources tell me that while you own so many cars, can we just check, are they all petrol ones?
I think we should move on. No, I do. Thanks for outing me, Steve. I do own. I can't believe it made me say that. I do own an electric car, but only because.
How many cars have you got?
8.
8.
I'd hate to live on your street.
Big family. No, I do. I bought an electric car not because it's electric, because it's a fun hot hatch. You remember the hot hatches of the 80s? I bought a Renault 5 Alpine about 5 months ago.
I've got a car. It's a black one.
Greatest fun. And do you know the other reason I bought it? No ULEZ, no congestion charge, and now, of course, Sadiq Khan has decided that he's no longer going to give 100% relief to electric cars on congestion charge.
I bet that's put you off him, hasn't it?
Well, I'm just not going to use it out of spite. It's just going to sit in my drive.
Who will defend the people who've got 8 cars, eh?
Where will they get chance? To the Observer, they're talking about this ban on social media. Is this going to be a good thing? Let's go, Paul.
Well, Australia are doing it, and Luciana Berger, who's a Labour peer, raised this issue in Parliament this week, and she was telling me the other day that she was inundated with parents saying, do you know what, we'd quite like to have this conversation in the UK about a ban on social media for kids. And I think it's opened up a discussion. I'm not 100% there yet, but I think it's worth having that conversation. There'll be parents watching this now who are desperately concerned about what their kids are watching online. Beheadings and rapes and just horrible, revolting things on the phones of kids, 8, 9, 10 years old. And we don't know what we're doing to that generation. So maybe an Australian-style ban is something we should debate. And the great thing is, if Australia do it and it works, then the proof point is there. It's not a theoretical discussion. It can work.
That's the thing, Lisa. Like the idea of banning it is a big experiment, but social media itself is a big experiment.
I think we were talking about this earlier, and I think in 20 years' time, people in 20 years will say, oh, my God, you let your kids watch that. Yeah. You exposed your kids to social media, because we'll start to find out how damaging this is to children. I'm not a banner. I don't like bans. I don't think that they work. But I do think that social media, I think that the internet, it's had a very damaging effect on kids, actually.
Now, let me load a question for you. You're in favour of kids watching this stuff?
What I'm in favour of is parents parenting their kids. We now have a government that's decided that they, as a state, are going to clean their kids' teeth, that they're going to feed them with breakfast because either parents don't want to or want to lean into the government. And, of course, that's great for a tyrannical left-wing government because they want people to lean into the state. So they're more dependent on them.
Feeding
hang on. No, but it's up to the parents. And when it comes to social media bans, I've got 4 kids, I've got 3 teenage girls at home that have phones and are on social media. It's up to me and my wife to decide what my kids do with their spare time and their social media, their screen time. It is not. Well, no, it's a matter for me. What I'm saying is, it's not a matter for Keir Starmer or Lisa Nandy to tell me what I can do as a parent with my kids. It's outrageous.
The state always does, in terms of 18 films, in terms of not driving.
There are certain things like, OK, let's go to an extreme. We shouldn't murder people. I mean, I kind of get that.
No, but in general, the kids are the one category that we have loads more rules about.
Yeah. But I think that parents, particularly if it's... there are things that kids can't do legislatively because it might damage or harm others. Now, I argue that because they are my kids, I know best how to bring them up and how to parent them. So when it comes to, for instance, when I go on holiday, my 16, 17-year-old girls, they drink wine at the table, whether it's legal or not. That's my choice. But some on the left would say, that's outrageous. You shouldn't be allowed to give kids alcohol at dinner. It's my choice.
I couldn't care less about drinking wine with a meal.
Why not?
I would encourage it.
That's harmful, though, isn't it?
Well, it's
harmful,
in moderation. But my genuine... I'm not having a go. My genuine question is, as a parent, how do you police what your child is seeing on social media?
You could limit screen time. You can set their settings so they can't see certain things. You can check their phones. And you can also, trust them. Trust your kids that they do what you want them to do. And don't take the mickey.
But I think when it comes to technology, things are moving very fast, and I think parents are not always as up to date as the kids. And so I do think that social media and technology, I do think it's slightly different.
Yeah, but I will say that's a bit of an off-ramp, and loads of parents these days grew up effectively internet native anyway. It was true 10 years ago that older generations didn't know anything.
No,
you millennials can work a router.
Yeah, they can, but
What's a router?
There's new things coming all the time. TikTok.
But hang on, isn't it a slippery slope? What else are the government going to tell us we can or can't do with our kids?
We've got to move on now. Fascinating stuff. Surely that debate won't end there. Plus, coming up, I'll be telling you about a Daily Express exclusive, which reveals the UK is a soft touch over illegal migrant business support.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I have the story here today. The brain has 5 eras in it, and the adult mode doesn't start until the early 30s.
Yes. What it says is that rather than a sort of steady progression, your brain sort of changes at particular points in your life. So you've got phases of your life. So you change at 9 is the first point where your brain changes. Then it's 32 when adolescence finishes in terms of your brain, according to the study. Then you've got 66, which is where I've just got past. And then you've got 83. And then
what happens in 66? I'm asking for someone to know.
Asking for a friend.
You're asking for a personal reason. I'm afraid we start having less effective brains past 66 is what the consequence is. Some of the neural functions don't work as well. So it says here. Of course, Eamon, there are exceptions, such as you and me, perhaps.
No, I know there's plenty of things going wrong, yeah.
But 32 is the strongest overall shift in trajectory, it says here. This is a study that's been carried out. But I think Cambridge University have done
what
this.
What happens at 32, asking for a friend?
You end up becoming more of an adult than you were when you were 31, apparently.
That's good. I became an adult last week.
Yeah, I know.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm surprised they haven't, just made a discrepancy between male and female brains in this, because I don't think men ever grow up. I think the adult... Yeah. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Maybe 66 is the way that men mature.
If they ever do.
Because your birthday's what, December the 3rd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up, Eamon.
But I agree with you about not growing up. I mean, people say, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your birthday?
He wants a big burger from the Metro.
Men like toys.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racey tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us? And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong tonight with me, Stephen Allen, for a one-off. And let's return to some of the front pages. The Times, over 100,000 follow King's call to action. The Independent goes with children's operations cancelled as Superflu piles pressure on NHS, by Rebecca Thomas there. And the Mirror has no place to hide for sex offenders. And the Express's front page, Soft Touch UK offers illegal migrants business support. And The Sun goes with "This is not justice." Let's go to our panel now on this one. Paul, this front page of the Express, the migrant story. Are we a soft touch when it comes to business support?
Well, it's about getting people who shouldn't be here to go home quicker. So the support is being offered in the countries of origin. So the idea is that you say to somebody, well, we want you out, and here's a life that you can then live somewhere else with a bit of support, give you a head start. That's what it is. We're not building migrant businesses in this country, and if you read the headline, you might think that. So it's not about being a soft touch.
That's what you were in favour of earlier on, wasn't it?
That's a bit different from this, isn't it? So the idea is here, we're fast-tracking people out of the country who shouldn't be here, and then giving them a soft landing back in Nigeria or wherever it is, as named in the story.
Lisa, this is one of those that could fall between two stools on this one. Is this actually helping to get people to go back to their original country, or is this another form of reason to come here in the first place?
No, I mean, for a start, the headline's a bit rage-baity, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's suggesting that we're paying for business support here, for businesses to be set up here, and that's not. I don't really care about it that much, you know, but I also...
It's taxpayers' money still,
it is, but...
It's cheaper than being here for 5 years.
I think that I agree with Paul. It is cheaper than, you know, we can either put them in a hotel for 5 years or 10 years, or we could say, why don't you do... But I don't think it would work anyway. I think it's a bit of a pointless thing, because if somebody has come here because they think they're going to have a better life here, how is giving them... you know, a few mentoring hours with somebody, you know, who's got their own business. Yeah, how is that going to encourage them to go back home? I think that this is... I don't know why it's another gimmick.
Yeah, we're doing ourselves in with the numbers here, aren't we? If we say, like, it's cheaper than it would be processing a claim over a year and a half, well, it's our fault for leaving it that long, which sets that money so high, which means anything's cheaper than that.
Again, they shouldn't be here and allowed in the first place. But this is also off the back of, you know, don't forget the 30,000 people that the Labour government trumpet as having sent back this year. You know, they laud the fact they've done that. The majority of those, and I have looked, this is another fact, are given money to go back. So something between £1,000 and £3,000, and obviously we pay for them to go back on a plane. What we're now doing here is saying, hey, why don't you also have a free business back in Nigeria or Somalia or wherever you come from? I mean, soon we're going to see headlines on the front of the Sunday Express saying free houses in the country of their choice for migrants. This is ludicrous.
The pushback would be then, OK, so you'd rather spend more money keeping them here longer?
No, I'd rather not have them here in the first place. I'd have internment camps. I'd take away every incentive. Everything in terms of NHS, dentistry, accommodation, money. I'd take all of that away immediately. No, they wouldn't come here in the first place. They'd stay in France or Italy. I would put them in internment camps on the beaches of Dover, process them in a day and send them straight back. Like they did in Australia. It's been done in Australia under Tony Abbott.
I think people of Dover wouldn't be happy about that.
Well, they're coming in anyway. Another story. Can we look at the front page of The Independent? This children's operations cancelled as superflu piles pressure on NHS. A lot of words there meant to be scaring people.
Well, this is 2,500 flu cases, and the capacity of our hospitals is about 150,000 patients. So I do think there's a big dollop of hyperbole here, isn't there? I do worry when people...
The BMA, even they're saying the superflu is being trumped up to try and...
Yeah, no, it is. And I don't think that those cases are any higher than they are most years. I worry very, very much that when it comes to pushing masks and vaccines, whether it's COVID or flu, again, it's just an element of control, isn't it?
Yeah. There is the NHS is under great pressure, though.
Why?
It
takes £200 billion a year from us.
I had a family member who was in a hospital in Ashfield a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and it was a Friday night. Now, who would you think would be in A&E on a Friday night?
Loads of drunk people.
They weren't. It was loads of elderly people.
Right.
Lots of elderly people in a lot of pain and very poorly.
We've got 30 seconds of this now, Paul. Your take on it?
Well, Reform want to have a social insurance model, but I don't think that would work any better when the sort of winter flu comes to call.
But it comes every year.
It is a real...
Not a surprise.
It is a real thing, though. People with flu watching this will tell you it's a pretty nasty disease and the NHS has to cope.
Right, well, we've got to go, but thank you for that. A whole lot more news still to bring you. Up next, it's Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. But first, we'll get your latest weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, welcome to your latest GB News weather. There is a northwest-southeast split with the weather at the moment. Heavy rain, strong winds affecting northern and western areas, quite dry across the southeast. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. A squeeze in isobars indicating strong winds, particularly across the north and the west of the country over the next 24 hours. And rain just continuing to drive in this evening. Northern Ireland, Scotland, northern England seeing heavy rain through into the early hours. And Sunday and into Monday as well. Yellow and amber warnings for rain in force here. Further southeast towards southeast England, clear here overnight, some fog patches, temperatures falling into single figures. So a chilly start here, but generally wet across the north and the west to start Sunday morning. Some dry weather though across northern Scotland first thing. Some glimmers of sunshine once the sun rises here, but wet for central southern parts of Scotland. An amber warning in force across southwest Scotland. Heavy rain building here. Heavy rain for Northern Ireland, northern England. Across Cumbria and Met Office, amber warning in force here too, and rain starting to move into Wales through Sunday morning. But a dry start across the southeast with some sunshine, and through the day very little changes. It remains windy and wet across the northwest. Rainfall totals continue to build. Over several days we could see 250 millimetres of rain over the high ground of northwest England, southwest Scotland, leading to flooding here, but a wet day for much of Northern Ireland, the rest of Scotland, North Wales as well. Central southern parts of England, a dry day with some sunny spells, generally cloudier on Sunday compared to Saturday. Quick look at Monday. Further rain for Wales, southwest England, stretching into northern England. Drier for Northern Ireland and Scotland. And again, southeast England holding on to the dry weather. Some hazy spells of sunshine. It remains unsettled through much of next week as well. Temperatures generally near average for the time of year. See you soon.